Right. Now, time goes by. 2007 comes. The feds literally did a sweep. And I know you get annoyed with this, but
No, that's all
I have a
good.
lot of kids who watch Say
even
Cheese,
know
and
about
they're
that.
too young to even remember this.
Mm-hmm.
So, we can talk about it?
Yeah, of course. No, and that's
Oh,
crazy because
okay.
when you posted that, I seen some of the comments like, yeah, literally, it's people that don't even really know that even happened. So like, it's, yeah.
Yeah. So you're in the studio that night. Take us through that night, take us through that night.
It was actually the day after the Martin Luther King holiday break. So I guess if the holiday falls on a Monday, it was a Tuesday. We was back to work. It was in the daytime, thankfully. So it was very back to business environment in that sense, where it could have been a Friday night and it could have been a different type of environment per se, because that was our studio off Walker Street where we used to do our radio show, where my compound, it was the Mean Streets before Mean Street Studios. But we had just came back from a vacation. I remember we were in there talking about work. We were working on my debut album at the time. I had did my deal with Atlantic Records, so this was my first real album, and I think we were just kind of like, about to focus and get back, like just see where we were as far as, what we had amassed and the music and what have you. At the time, I probably had a staff of about like 20 interns or 20 people that worked at the studio. I remember DJ Infamous had just moved all his equipment into the other room that very day to start working on his first mixtape. And I got a phone call from my homeboy, who's somebody in his family worked in law enforcement, and they were like, "Yo, we just got a call that they about to come down there and raid the studio on Walker Street." And I'm thinking it's a mix up. I'm like, "All right, good looking, thanks for the heads up," but there was a studio next door, and I'm thinking, "All right, they might something's going on over there. They're not coming over here." So then I kind of walked around the office. I told I had this guy working for me named Jason Brown, who was really uh influential in helping me create the system that I was like literally kind of moving Gangsta Grills the way I was. And I said something to him about it. I was like, "Yo, I just got this call." So he was smart enough to kind of like grab all the discs out of the computers, like real movie style, like New Jack City shit, and was, he got out of there, and he Jason rolled. Me, I'm walking around nonchalantly. I walk outside. I'm about to go move my car. I go outside to move my car out of the parking lot. As soon as I walk outside in the parking lot, mind you, it's still daytime outside. I come outside, I just see black Tahoes from every corner just pulling up onto the pavement, onto the walkway and everything, and they just jump right out, like whole outfits on, M16s drawn, pointing right at me, start talking that shit, tell me to get on the ground. And looking at it, I'm like really calm. Like when I think about it, I don't know. I think because in my head I knew it was a mishap and a mistake. I was just super calm. Like, all right, let me just go through the motions and we're gonna get past this. Mind you, I got a fucking M16 pointed at me. So I get on the ground. The helicopters start coming. They ask for my ID and everything, and then I give it to them, and I hear them talking on the. I hear them talking on the walkie talkies, and they like go back and forth, and they say my name, and they say, "Yeah, we got one of the perps." And I'm like, "What?" I hear this. They stand me up. They say, "Tyree Simmons, you're under arrest for bootlegging and racketeering. We're arresting you under the RICO law. And like, do you understand your rights?" All that dumb shit. And like literally right there, they took me and Cannon to jail. And it was for fucking mixtapes. And when they went on TV that night, they ran into the studio. They trashed our whole place. They kept asking the staff and the interns, like, "Yo, tell us where the guns and the drugs are. Like, we know it's in here." Nigga, they didn't find not one joint, not one handgun, no nothing. All they found was 81,000 CDs.
Mm. So, how long did you stay in jail for that?
24 hours.
24 hours. You get bailed out of jail. Do you think your life is over?
I did. I thought my life, I definitely thought my life was over. For the first couple hours when I got out, I was I was pretty shook, and then, I again, like, hearing what the RICO was, that was new to me. So I remember, I had talked to Tip. Tip was one of the first people I talked to, and he's the one that told me to go check my bank account, and I had no idea. And when I went to my bank account, that shit said 0.00, and like, it went from literally six figures to like six zeros. You know what I'm saying? And I cried my heart out. Like, so for a small brief moment, I did feel like my life was over, but then I started to kind of real. I had positive people around me at the time, and thankfully enough, they put it in perspective of like, you can't pay for this type of publicity. You know what I'm saying? Like, Atlantic was excited just with the position that Ray had put me in, and the popularity, and me having an album about to come out, and it literally gave me a storyline for my first album. And I realized I woke up to a whole different level of fame, in a sense. I remember Super Bowl that year being in Miami, and me just walking down the street in Collins, and that was probably my real first time, like, really kind of feeling that level of fame. Like, I had been known before, but it was different. Like, I had been known, like, in the rap communities per se, but like, I was getting a different type of recognition. So yeah, it was kind of exciting for the time. I mean, I was salty about, how much money they took from me and everything, but I also, like, when I first kind of made it, I was very, because I'm such a student of the game, and I have such a passion for this. Like, my mind was always very prepared for, like, the long road, the longevity
Right.
of a career. You feel what I'm saying? So, when that shit happened, I looked at it like, oh, okay, all right, here's my first test. Like, here's the first challenge to see if I got a chink in the armor. You know what I mean? And then, for me, like, I grew up like, mixtapes is such an art form that, like, is the reason why I'm here. So I didn't want to see it die on my shoulders. So it was like, all right, what can I, let me stand strong to let niggas know, like, what we wasn't doing wasn't, I didn't do nothing wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like, just because the industry is fucked up and they wanted to target me, or they had something to prove, or however, whatever, like, nigga, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for mixtapes. Like, mixtapes are the veins in the blood of this culture. These companies, these businesses, they wouldn't be in the billions if it wasn't for the mixtape game. So y'all not gonna pin that on me like it was something bad, or let this shit die while I was in charge. Like, hell no.